Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here today to share with you the story of how I found out I was pregnant with twins, which is a crazy story. So let me take it back to the very beginning of when my husband and I even started trying for that. So I got married last May, so it was like almost a year ago. And not long after I got married, like a month later, I was diagnosed with mononucleosis. It's like pretty intense viral infection and it can last for a really long time. For me, it lasted for like over 2 months, and even after that, I was still like really tired and just like, it took me a long time to feel fully recovered and fully like myself again. So I knew that I was not in a place to carry a baby or even think about that. So that was not something that I was trying to have happen in the beginning of my marriage. But after a little while, as I was healing and I started to feel more like myself again, my husband and I were kind of like, well, maybe we should be open to having a baby. I know that it can take, for some people it happens right away. For some people it can take, years. And I didn't know where I was going to be in that spectrum. But there was this one moment at church actually that kind of solidified it for me. I was sitting behind this family and they had their little kids and they were just messing around with each other and playing with each other, and just like watching those kids, I had this sense of peace in my heart for the first time. Like, I feel like I'm ready to be open to that. Like, I feel like I'm ready for just being open to starting a family. And I had this peace that it was like time to start. So we started trying in October, and the first month we tried, took a pregnancy test, negative. Again, November, tried, took a pregnancy test, negative. And then December came and I was like, this is gonna be the month. I had like this whole plan in my mind, like, I'm gonna come down on Christmas morning and I'm gonna hand Max this positive test and it's gonna be so beautiful. This is what God wants. Like, I don't know, I made it to be way more in my mind than it actually was. So that did not happen, if you can't tell. I did not get pregnant around Christmas. So then January rolls around and I just kind of felt, I was starting to feel this mounting anxiety in me. Like, I was wondering, is there something wrong with my body? Am I okay? Like, and I know some people try for so long and there's nothing wrong, but I'm just a very anxious person and I tend to worry about things. So that's just kind of where my mind goes, to like the worst case scenario. So I was just like, oh, am I okay? But I really started to get more in touch with my spirituality and my prayer life. And I started to intentionally ask God to just give me peace and to help me let go and stop trying to control everything in His timing, which is way easier said than done. But I started to pray specifically for peace. And my fertile window was coming up. If you know, you know. If you've ever tried to conceive, you know what I mean. And I didn't want to stress about it. I didn't want to try to control it. I just wanted to let it go and put it into God's hands. And there was this one night in particular when I really felt like God was giving me such a sense of peace. I went into church and I was so anxious. I'd been worrying about, all the baby stuff. And I just sat down on the floor by myself. No one was in there, just me and the Eucharist, which is Jesus. And I was just like, God, I'm so tired of worrying. I'm so tired of like wondering when this is going to happen and wondering what's wrong with me. And just like, I don't want to live this way anymore. I just want to let it go. And I want to put it into your hands. And I felt the most like incredible peace come over me. And I started journaling in my prayer journal, and I was kind of like writing down what I felt like God was saying to me. And it just felt like He was blessing me with like this like peace and this vision of like, don't worry, I've got this all figured out. Like, let it go into my hands. I'll take care of this. So later that week, it was the time that I could take a pregnancy test. And I was so nervous. Oh my gosh, that morning I was like, but I also I had this feeling of like, okay, whatever happens, happens. I've gotten several negatives. I can handle it if it happens again. So I took the test and I looked at it and I could tell right away. I was like, okay, this is another negative. It's blank. Like, it's fine. I know what negatives look like. I've dealt with this. This is okay. And I set it down. You're supposed to let it develop for a few minutes. So I went to wash my hands And I looked at it again and I was like, wait a minute, is that? And I swear it was like the tiniest, faintest little pink line. It was so faint. And I was like, is that like a thing? It was so faint that I didn't believe it. So I run downstairs to my husband and I was like, Max, look at this. And I showed him the test and I was like, do you see that? And he's like, yeah, I mean, I see it, but like, it's so faint. What does that mean? So I ran upstairs and I called my sister-in-law actually. And I asked, she's been pregnant like multiple times. And I was like, hey, I just took a pregnancy test and I got like the faintest pink line. Like, what does that mean? And she was like, oh my gosh, Kath, congratulations. She's like, you're pregnant. And I was like, what? Like, how? And she's like, yeah, like false negatives are not really a thing. Like, it's like very rare. So you are pregnant. That's how all my pregnancies started. So I was freaking out. I was so like shocked, but also so excited and just like, wow, this really does feel like God's timing. Like it seems like it's perfectly aligning. So I called my mom, I called my sister. I was like, oh my gosh. I called Christina. I didn't tell the other girls yet because I wanted to like tell them together and see all of their reactions. But Christina and I just kind of have this, like, we always talk about pregnancy and all that stuff kind of relationship. So like, I felt like she was one that I wanted to just kind of tell right away. It was crazy. So anyway, I called my doctor right away and I let them know like, hey, I took a pregnancy test, it was positive. And they wanted me to come in right away because last year I was diagnosed with a blood clotting disorder. It's a hereditary thing. It runs in my family. And I was actually diagnosed the week that I was diagnosed with mono. It's kind of crazy, but they have nothing to do with each other. So I knew that as soon as I got pregnant, I would have to go in right away and get everything checked out and make sure that I'm healthy and start to get treated for my blood clotting disorder so that everything's good. So I went to the doctor and she did an ultrasound and I think I was like 5 weeks and I saw the tiny little bean. I was like, yay, the bean. And it was so exciting. Max and I were so excited to see the baby. And then we went back a week later. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is when things just started to change. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so the doctor, she was doing the ultrasound and she's like, wait a minute, Max. And she's like, Max, come here. And my husband like gets off his chair and she's like, look at this. And I'm like looking at the screen. I'm thinking like, is something wrong? Like, I hope everything's okay. She's like, do you see that there? There's two. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh. And she's like, well, I can't confirm this is a twin pregnancy because, with twin pregnancies or with pregnancies, like one of the little sacs could be empty because it was two different sacs. People ask me this a lot. They're not identical. They're fraternal twins. So it's two different sacs, two different eggs. And she's like, well, one of them could be empty. So she sent me across the street to the clinic and this like different clinic. And she was like, they have like a much bigger high-tech ultrasound machine. They will confirm to you whether it's actually twins or not. And my jaw just literally dropped. Like I think I started shaking and like as Max and I were going across the street to the other clinic, I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, let me tell you this, guys, like I never in a million years saw myself as a twin mom. I know some people are like, I want to have twins so bad. That was never me. I saw people with twins and I was honestly like, that, like with their bellies, I was like, that looks so painful. Like, honestly, I was like, I hope that's not me, which I know it sounds really bad. And like, now I'm really happy about it. But at the time I was just kind of scared. So then we went into the other ultrasound place and I could see that the ultrasound tech was like measuring two different babies on the screen, but she couldn't say anything because only my doctor could tell me. So then we had to run back across the street to my doctor and my doctor's like, so do they tell you? And I'm like, no, they can't. She's like, oh yeah, let me run over. So she goes over to the printer and she picks up this paper from the other office and it says twin pregnancy on it, which is so crazy. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. I actually I'll show you guys. This is the ultrasound that we recently got. Which is so crazy. I'm 12 weeks now, and I'm gonna make another video to tell you guys what the first trimester has been like for me. But yeah, that was the day that I found out that I'm having twins. It makes me want to cry thinking about it. I'm so thankful, and I can't even believe like God's timing and everything. And I feel just so amazed and grateful that I have 2 babies. And I can't, like, every time I go in for an ultrasound, I'm just like, okay, I pray that they're both still there, that they're both healthy, and they are. And it's just, it's the most mind-blowing thing I've ever experienced. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. I don't think I've ever been more nervous for something in my life, because I know this is literally going to change my life top to bottom, everything about it, and I don't even know how to prepare for that. I don't think anyone can. So anyway, that's the story of how I found out that I was having twins. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm gonna make another video. I was gonna put these together, but I realized it was way too long. So I'm gonna make another video that's gonna talk about my first trimester and kind of recapping the whole thing. So stay tuned, and I'll tell you guys in my next video about my first trimester. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I'm really happy that I got to share this very, very special story with you guys. Bye.